somewhere tonight. A man with half your income and twice your worries is sleeping better than you are. Not because his life is easier, not because he caught a lucky break. It's because of a handful of quiet habits, so ordinary you'd walk right past them unless somebody stopped you and pointed them out. By the time this video ends, you'll know exactly what those habits are. Not vague advice like stay positive or live in the moment. Real, repeatable actions carried by men who buried their own children, lost their thrones, and were exiled from everything they loved, and still walked away calm. Stick around. The last habit on this list is rarely talked about, and it might change your entire week. For most of your life, you've probably chased happiness in exactly the wrong direction. Not because you're careless, but because everyone around you is running the same race. The next raise, the next relationship, the next milestone that's finally supposed to make you feel like you've arrived. And maybe you've noticed the strange part. The finish line keeps moving. You get the raise, and 2 months later it just feels like your normal paycheck, and you're already chasing the next one. Psychologists gave this a name eventually, hedonic adaptation. But the Stoics noticed the exact same pattern 2,000 years earlier. They watched senators with more wealth than they could spend die miserable, and they watched exiled prisoners stumble into something close to real peace. So they landed on an idea that still holds up today. Happiness isn't something that lands on you. It's something you build, one habit at a time, regardless of what your circumstances happen to look like. Let's start with the first one, and it's probably the opposite of what you were taught growing up. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, commanded armies, held the fate of millions of people in his hands. And most mornings, before any of that weight hit him, he did something almost embarrassingly simple. He sat alone in the dark and wrote to himself, reminding himself why getting up even mattered. We only know this because his private notebook survived by accident. We call it Meditations now, though he never intended a single stranger to read it. The most powerful man alive had to talk himself out of bed some mornings, exactly like you do. The difference wasn't motivation, it was a ritual, a few quiet minutes where he decided who he'd be before the world got a vote. You don't need an hour of journaling and cold plunges. That version is exhausting just to watch online. You need 60 seconds before your phone, before your inbox, to ask one honest question. Who do I want to be today, no matter what happens? The second habit is where most people quietly fail, even the ones who already know better. There's an old story about Epictetus, who spent years of his life enslaved before he became one of history's sharpest philosophers. According to tradition, his leg was broken, and he reportedly responded not with rage, but with something closer to quiet observation, simply noting what had happened. No collapse, no spiral. Because arguing with something that's already broken doesn't unbreak it. Someone cuts you off in traffic, the event lasts 2 seconds, but some people carry that anger for the next 30 minutes, replaying it, narrating it, poisoning an entire morning over something that ended instantly. The traffic didn't ruin their day. The argument with reality did. Happy people aren't people bad things never happen to. That idea is a myth. They're people who've trained themselves to ask a different question the moment something goes wrong. Not, why is this happening to me? A question with no useful answer. But, given that this happened, what's the most useful thing I can do right now? Feel it for 60 honest seconds if you need to. Stoicism was never about suppressing emotion. Just don't let it run the rest of your day. Picture Marcus at his writing desk, drawing a line that changed how I personally think about my own anxiety. He separated what's actually up to us, our effort, our judgment, our own conduct, from what isn't. Other people's opinions, outcomes we've already done our best on. Here's what almost nobody tells you about unhappiness. A huge amount of it comes from spending your limited energy on things that were never yours to control in the first place. What a stranger thinks of you online. Whether your kids turn out fine in 20 years. Real concerns, and almost entirely outside your grip right now, in this moment. This doesn't mean stop caring. It means stop bleeding energy across a line that was never yours to cross. Prepare fully for what's yours, then release your grip the second it leaves your hands. Now let's talk about something the happiest people do at night, that most people skip, thinking it's a waste of 5 minutes. Seneca described a nightly habit he'd learned from an older philosopher, asking himself, once the house had gone quiet, a short set of honest questions. What fault did I resist today? Where did I fall short of who I want to be? What will I do differently tomorrow? Not to punish himself, more like a friend reviewing your day than an enemy hunting for ammunition. Without this, unresolved moments tend to follow you into bed and replay themselves at 11 at night. With it, you process them on your own terms for 5 minutes. Then you're allowed to put the day down and sleep. This next one has a Latin name that sounds intimidating and is actually simple once you understand it. Premeditatio malorum, rehearsing misfortune before it arrives. Seneca would spend a few minutes before any journey imagining what could realistically go wrong, not to spiral, but so that if difficulty did show up, it arrived at a mind that had already met it once, even if only in imagination. Modern psychology landed on almost the same idea independently. They call it defensive pessimism now. And studies consistently show people who briefly rehearse obstacles perform better and feel less anxious than people who only visualize success. Before a hard conversation this week, spend 90 seconds asking, what's the realistic worst version of this? And if it happens, what would I actually do? You'll walk in steadier, because some part of you has already been there before. Seneca, despite enormous wealth, would periodically live like a poor man on purpose. Rough clothes, the cheapest food, a hard bed, all while total luxury sat a few steps away. Not out of guilt, but so that if fortune ever did take it all, he'd already know from direct experience that he could survive it. This is the ancient root of cold showers and voluntary fasting today. Comfort in unlimited doses quietly makes people fragile, but discomfort chosen on your own terms builds something like an emotional callus. Skip one small comfort this week, the extra scrolling in bed, the elevator instead of the stairs, just for a single day. And notice how good that comfort feels the moment you let yourself have it back. One more before the last habit, because it ties everything together. Almost everything that quietly steals your happiness. A grudge you won't release, a phone call you keep postponing, an I love you assume there's always time to say later, depends on one hidden assumption, that your time is unlimited. Roman generals, during their proudest victory parades, would reportedly have a servant walk behind them, whispering one phrase, "Remember, you are mortal." Marcus returned to this thought constantly, not as something dark, but as a filter for what actually deserved his limited hours. Ask yourself tonight, gently, If you had far less time than you assume, what would you stop tolerating? What would you finally say? You don't need a perfect answer. You just need to let the question do its work. In the year 175, Marcus learned that one of his own generals had declared himself emperor and turned against him in the middle of a war, while Marcus was already exhausted and grieving. And by most accounts, he marched toward that betrayal, hoping to offer mercy instead of punishment. When the traitor's head was brought to him as a trophy, tradition says Marcus refused to celebrate and had it buried with honor instead. That wasn't a man with a naturally peaceful temperament. That was a man who'd spent years building these exact habits, brick by brick, so that on the worst day of his reign, peace simply showed up, because it was already there, waiting. So here's all of it together. Claiming the first minutes of your day before the world claims them. Refusing to argue with a reality that's already happened. Narrowing your concern to only what's genuinely yours to control. Reviewing your day honestly, without cruelty. Rehearsing hardship before it arrives, so it never catches you unprepared. Choosing discomfort on your own terms, so real hardship never breaks you later. And remembering without fear that your time is finite, letting that one fact quietly reorganize everything else. None of these require money. None of them require your circumstances to change first. That's exactly why they've survived 2,000 years intact. Pick just one, the one that quietly nagged at you somewhere in this video, and practice it for the next 7 days. If this gave you something worth carrying into tomorrow, subscribe to Stoic Point, because this is exactly what we build here, week after week. Until next time, remember, you don't need better circumstances, you need better habits. Start with one today.